So I'm going to model the Yogg deck. I was going to do the Else deck first, but you know, why not? Now, the way a discard and destruction deck gets modeled is very weird because there's no opponent. And so you're going to see that these games are fairly artificial. Yet I propose to you that I think we're going to learn a lot about this deck as we model it. So again, I may not be using the rules correctly, and if you find it so, and you know more than I do, which I'm sure it's the case, put something in the comments, please. So I'm going to draw 5 cards. Okay. And I'm going to say that of these cards, I'm going to put this one back. Okay, I don't think I need a board wipe this early in the game, and I'm going to just pull one out. All right. Now it means that I drew 2 of the additions and 2 of the boxes, and that means that I can do a lot about somebody else's resonators. I think what I'm going to do is model how many resonators there are on the field on my opponent's side. So let's just say right now that there are none, but every time I play a turn, I'm going to put one of these stones, and I'm going to make it be like a fake resonator on my opponent's side, because all my cards do something about my opponent. Okay, and maybe what I'll do is I'll just say this is my opponent's hand, and I'm going to give my fake opponent 5 cards. Okay, actually I should use cards from the Else deck. I'll just say, you know, this is my opponent's hand, and then I'll just add a card every turn to the field. Forget about these. Let's just use real cards. Okay. So then that's my hand. Right now I have an energize, so I have a floating one, and so I'm gonna call a stone. Actually, this is not correct. It should be this side. And I'm gonna set up my stones away from the view. But I'm just saying, okay. So I have 1. I have 2 mana. So I can. So right now I cannot cast anything except these 2 additions. So I'm gonna put these 2 additions on the field. Okay. So this is my hand, and I'll just show it occasionally. One of the things that I hate about a lot of the gameplay videos that I don't know if I hate it, that bothers me, is they're doing a lot of this and they never say, hey, this is the card that I'm talking about. So I'm going to do a lot of that throughout this mock. I'm going to be constantly putting it up here and saying, hey, this is the card that I'm talking about. All right. Also in the playlist, you will see all these cards being described. So anyways, that's my hand right now. I'm going to put it right here. And then my field is these 2 additions that will lower the cost of my judgment, but I'm not doing judgment right now. But once I hit 4, I can banish one of these additions and cause my opponent to discard a card. Actually, in hindsight, I should have put these back in the deck, but anyways, this is the first mock game. It's gonna be ugly. Okay, so then next turn, I would draw a card. By the time the next turn comes, my opponent would have played a card. Okay, put something on the board, and I'm not going to worry about these, but these are just stand-ins for resonators on the field that I'm going to take out. And I'm going to say that my opponent's hand is always going to be 5, just for the sake of this game. Okay, so I drew this lady, and she's a 3-drop, and I called another stone, so I'm up to 2. Okay, so at 2, what can I do? Well, at 2, I can put down one of these on the board, and it's got summoning sickness, so I cannot do anything yet, and the same with these. So now I have these 4 cards on the field, and this is what I have in my hand. I have 2 3-drops. Okay, so something happens, my opponent does something, maybe they play a card from their hand and they draw something. Okay, so there's 2 resonators on the field right now. Okay, then the next turn, I'm not gonna keep doing this. I'm just gonna say, okay, now I've got 3. I drew this dude. He's a 2-drop, and I've got 3. there's nothing damaged right now because I don't have any resonators on the field. So I'm not going to play him. Instead, I'm going to bestow. I'm going to use my black boxes, my treasure boxes, to put on these two guys. They go in the graveyard, okay? And I killed this dude's two resonators, okay? This is on my turn, and I'm at 3. Okay, so I'm going to let it go. They're going to do something. Maybe they're going to cast something from their hand, tutor for something, and maybe cast something. It's a good thing that I've played this particular deck a lot, so it's easy for this deck to land resonators on the field. It's very resilient to target destruction. Okay, so it comes to my turn. I draw a card, get another one. I'm still using this dude as a ruler. I'm not going over with my limit game. Okay, so then I draw this card, and I've got 4 mana available. Okay, and so I don't have a single resonator on the board. I have to make a sacrifice move. I have 4. I can either do one of these and cause my opponent to discard, but then I'm not saving my judgment cost, so I don't like that at all. So I'm not going to do that. And again, this is the first modeled game. I think I may do a second game in which I know a little more. This is a mistake. I should have kept these cards for later because they're just sitting on the board. They're not doing anything. They're not saving me the one for judgment, and I don't really want to sack them because then I lose that. So that was a mistake. So I'll cast this dude for 2. And so now I have something on the board. I'll make my opponent show me their deck, and let's just say that I do take something out. So this goes to my graveyard, and one of my opponent's cards from their hand goes away. All right, they do something, they draw, maybe they cast something else. So now they got 3 resonators on the board. Of course, again, that deck can put resonators on the board very quickly, all the time. So now I'm at 5, and I'm going to draw. Okay, so now I've got this dude. Let's just say, because I've got a 500, 700, that I did attack something and they had to block. Okay. Now, again, this is where my ignorance comes in for the game, but I would have had to deal some sort of damage that didn't kill the resonator. Either way, I'm going to play this guy because I've got the mana for it. So I've got these 2 dudes. They're 500, 700. I'm not fully modeling what's in here. And so let's just say that during combat, I was able to damage something because there's something big in here. But in order to damage it, I would have had to lose somebody, one of these dudes. Okay? So I'm going to assume that when I attacked something, it was pretty big. And I damaged it, but this thing died. It goes into the graveyard. Because it goes into the graveyard, now I can tutor for another box. Okay? So I'm going to tutor for a box. It goes in my hand. And I'm going to shuffle. Okay? And then now I've got this in my hand, and I do have the mana to cast it. So I'm going to cast it on one of my opponent's critters. And so I'm going to... Well, actually, it's got Summoning Sickness. So I'm going to drop it, and that's it. And then I've got this guy with the counter that it got from... I'm going to make sure that the one who stays with the counter is the one that got the counter for this one. All right? So then my opponent does something. Of course, they got a bunch of critters. It's going to be very easy. So they're up to 4 critters. They're doing a lot of damage. Probably this guy died in combat by now, so I've lost him. Then I got to go in, and then I got to go in and get my other box. Okay? So now I've got this box in my hand. I'm going to, again, call another stone. So now I'm up to 6. I still have not, I'm not going to flip this dude. Okay? And now I'm going to cast this. I have plenty of mana to cast this. I also have plenty of mana to benefit from the judgment. But I really wanted that 6th one. So it's okay that I have that 6th one. I'm not going to do it now. And I'm going to use these 2 boxes on 2 of this guy's dudes. So I take them out. Okay. Then next turn, because they have an Elves deck and they have more mana, they're going to be able to drop 3 more cards. So now they have 5 Resonators on the field. Maybe their hand is not as big. Maybe they have 2 things in the hand. And they're going to attack and I'm going to take some damage. Then in this case, now I'm going to flip this dude in this next turn. I'm going to draw, okay, and I'm going to cast this because it's a 1-drop. And how many limit counters can I do? What's my X right now? So I'm stuck at this point at 6, but I'm really at 8 because I've got these guys on the board, which were a mistake to keep on the board for so long. By now, my opponent should have used something to destroy my additions. So I'm going to say that by now, my opponent has destroyed one of my additions. So I only have one of these left. Let's just say that I do. All right. And so I'm going to save 1. So I have 7. So my limit is 7. This thing comes in with 8. So when it comes on the board, it's a 1500, and it can take out something that's an 8 drop, which is nothing on the board, but it'll keep going down 8, 7, 6 as I attack with it. Okay? So right now I'm going to attack, and I know the next turn is going to be on 7, and I need a little die for this. But let's just remember that it's at 7. Okay? And then I've got enough mana after that happens. I've already done Judgment. I can use this up. So for 4, I'm going to pop this dude, and then my opponent's going to discard something. Okay? So then they do something, and they still have their 5 critters. So that's pretty bad. They drop another critter. They do a bunch of damage. This guy is gone by now. I'm going to lose him in combat. This guy I might not lose in combat. Okay? But he's going to be at 7. So then the next turn, I draw, and I can go in there and take something out and put a 100 counter on this. I think combat and Force of Will is a lot like Yu-Gi-Oh! So a lot of these guys would have attacked my my ruler, and I think it would have become Astro by now. So I think I would have probably lost this game because I don't think I flipped them soon enough, and in hindsight, I should have kept the board wipe to use. Okay, so I'm going to end it right there.